Alright, fellow Slayers, time for the final episode of Read the Day, which is What's My Line? Part 1. As career week arrives, Buffy feels isolated and pathetic because the students around her are exploring their choices for the future, while her fate as a Slayer is already set in stone. Even so, she must join Willow and Xander filling out career questionnaires. Spike works on a cure for Giselle as she lays out tarot cards. He becomes frustrated with Drew's childlike behavior and ruminates on Buffy's interference in his plans. He believes Drusilla's cure can be found in the book that was recently stolen from Giles. Dalton, a vampire transcriber, is unable to read it. Drusilla informs Spike that the book is in code, and she knows the location of the key needed to decipher it. Buffy witnesses Dalton stealing an object from a mausoleum, but he escapes when she is distracted by another vampire. She enters her bedroom through the window out of habit, despite the fact that her mother is out of town for a few days, and finds Angel waiting to warn her of grave danger, and she notes with irritation that he does this a lot. He discovers her childhood obsession with ice skating, and offers to take her to do so in the following day. At school the next morning, the test results are revealed. Erica and Xander become a prison guard. Buffy look into law enforcement and environmental design, and Willow's results aren't even posted. However, Willow's escorted into a secluded lounge area of fancy food and drink to be recruited by a leading software company, along with Oz. Buffy reports to Giles, and he is distressed and disappointed when she tells him about the theft from the mausoleum. Spike and Drusilla examine the keys stolen by Dalton, a large gold cross. Spike decides to call in the Order of Taraka, an ancient guild of assassins that have existed since 1970 BC, to rid himself of Buffy once and for all. At the mausoleum, Giles realizes with concern that Josephus Dulag, a member of a religious sect that had been excommunicated by the Vatican, is buried there. He is the author of the book stolen from the library, and Giles believes the key was stolen from the tomb. In the meantime, the assassins begin to arrive. A large, intimidating man exits a bus, and a door-to-door beauty salesman walks down the sidewalk past Buffy's house to her next-door neighbors. He gives an invitation inside. The door closes, and the lady of the house screams. At the Sunnydale airport, a young woman attacks an airplane worker in the cargo hold of a plane, escaping with little difficulty. Giles tells Buffy, Xander, and Will about the Duloc cross, which can be used as the key, and he enlists their help with further research. Buffy manages to keep her date with Angel at the Sunnydale Ice Palace. She's to tackle ice skating, and Angel arrives in time to help her fight off the assassin, whom she kills with the blade of her skate. Angel, recognizing the assassin's ring, asks Buffy if she knows what it means, and then warns her that she should leave Sunnydale and hide. Angel's wounded, and Buffy doesn't want to have to touch his vampire face, but she removes her gloves to touch his face with her bare hands, assuring him that she hadn't even noticed, and kisses him. The female from the plane watches from the shadows. The assassin next door to Buffy's house feeds on the body of the woman he has killed by disintegrating into hundreds of writhing worms that can reshape themselves into limbs at will. Buffy is paranoid and jittery, suspicious of each person who passes by in the hallways at school. As Oz passes her, she panics and pits him against a locker. Oz declares her to be a tense person. Angel goes to Willie's bar for information, and Willie finally confirms Angel's suspicion that Spike is behind the assassins. But before Angel can leave, he is attacked by the mysterious female. They fight, and she locks a metal cage in front of an eastern window, with only a few hours until sunrise. Meanwhile, Buffy heads to Angel's place and lies down in his bed and falls asleep. Giles awakens Willow, who had fallen asleep. He reveals that the missing manuscript is a ritual to restore a weakened vampire back to health. Xander and Cordelia enter Buffy's house, and Xander searches for her while Cordelia waits downstairs. She hears a knock at the door and lets in the centipede assassin, again appearing as a makeup salesman promising free samples. In Angel's bedroom, Buffy awakes to find herself being attacked by the mysterious woman. They fight, with Buffy assuming that the woman is the next member of the Order of Taraka, until the woman asks who Buffy is. Confused, Buffy returns the question and is shocked when the woman introduces herself as Kendra, the Vampire Slayer. Dun dun dun. So now let's take a look at some continuity surrounding this episode. This episode introduces the character of Kendra, the first vampire slayer besides Buffy to be featured on the show. In West Smiling Part 2, it'll be revealed that she was activated during Buffy's brief death in Prophecy Girl. Buffy faces two vampires. She does one before seeing the other run away. She says, "One down, one gone." The same situation plays out with two demons in earshot. Darla's Angel in the episode Angel, if you believe Buffy would ever be able to kiss his real face, and she does so in this episode. On the table in Angel's apartment, there are two ashtrays. He'll only be seen smoking the episode's innocence and redefinition. Willow and Oz finally meet, having almost done so in the episodes Inca Mummy Girl and Halloween. The title Scooby Gang is used for the first time, given by Xander's group of friends for their fight against the forces of darkness, to be used afterwards multiple times. Willie's place is seen for the first time. The bar also appears in many other episodes, including Amends, The Zeppo, Goodbye Iowa, and Family. The bespectacled vampire Dalton later appears in Surprise and is killed by the judge. It is revealed there are 43 churches in Sunnydale. Will has frog fear, also known as rhiniadophobia. It will be used to her advantage and killed by death. Buffy's career date suggests that she should become a police officer. She eventually becomes a supernatural crime consultant for the San Francisco Police Department, mentions this test when she accepts a peacekeeper position in the Safe Zone, and graduates from Police Academy in Finale. While the Order of Tarkar are summoned to deal with Buffy and are a major opponent for this in the next episode, the contract is pulled in Ted after Spike's apparent death. So let's take a look at some production notes about this episode. The title of the episode refers to an American game show, What's My Line, which ran from 1950 to 1963. This is the first episode written by Marty Noxon and the only one by Howard Gordon. The hold of the plane in which Kendra arrives at Sunnydale was turned upside down and used as a sewer tunnel in later episodes. The ice rink, called Iceland, is found at 8041 Jackson Street in Paramount, California. This is around 25 miles from where Buffy was filmed. When Xander and Cordelia break into Buffy's house, the scenes were filmed on location in the actual house. By the time production had begun on West Island Part 2, they moved to a replica soundstage. The only noticeable difference is the windows on either side of the front door. Cordelia lets Norman Pfister into the house. You can see the windows are standard glass with curtains. However, in Part 2, they are slim panes of non-see-through glass. This is April Whedon's first appearance on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, acting as a stunt double for Bianca Lawson as Kendra. Whedon will later take on the role of Nikki Wood in Fool for Love. Sarah Michelle Gellar does all of her own ice skating in this episode. Nice. So now let's take a look at some pop culture references. Buffy's mention of her Dorothy Hamill face is a reference to American figure skater Dorothy Hamill, who won a gold medal in the 1976 Winter Olympics. Buffy says to Giles, "Have a cow, Giles." She's playing on the catchphrase used by the Simpsons character Bart Simpson, "Don't have a cow, man," which means don't get worked up. After Dalton had success translating the Dualk manuscript, Spike says, "By George, I think he's got it," paraphrasing a line from the 1964 film My Fair Lady. Russell Snyder uses the phrase airborne toxic event, which comes from the book White Noise. Buffy briefly wonders about the origin of the phrase the whole 9 yards, which is no consensus among linguists. And now let's take a look at some goofs. For a brief moment in a scene where Angel and Buffy talk in her bedroom, the edge of Angel's coat can be easily seen reflected in the vanity on the wall, while a portion of his face can be seen in the small mirror border that surrounds the vanity just before the frame. As Giles and Buffy are about to exit the mausoleum, sunlight can be seen coming in through the doorway. However, the next shot, when they've exited, the lighting doesn't match. And now let's take a look at some other fun facts about this episode. Sarah Michelle Gellar is a fan of ice skating in real life and lists ice skating as one of her hobbies. Julie Benz, who plays Darla, was one of the top-rated skaters in the U.S. Michelle Trachtenberg will later play the Ice Princess. Buffy's recommended to consider a career in law enforcement at the career fair. Of the Buffy main cast, 4 will go on to play FBI agents: David Boreanaz in Bones, Eliza Dushku in Banshee, Nicholas Brendan in Criminal Minds, and Emma Caulfield in Supergirl. Mark Blucas plays the Secret Service agent in First Daughter, Allison Hannigan a rookie cop in That 70s Show, and Tom Blank an incompetent detective in Joss Whedon's Much Ado About Nothing. Ironically, Sarah Michelle Gellar is one of the few Buffy alumni never to have portrayed a law officer. That's surprising. But hey, who knows? Maybe something like that could happen on an episode of The Rookie. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying. So, yeah. So overall, I think this episode is pretty interesting. And the fact that we get a new vampire slayer arriving on town is also kind of interesting as well. So, yeah. So overall, I give What's My Line Part 1? 4 vampire steaks out of 5. Well, anyway, tune in tomorrow as we take a look at the conclusion of this in What's My Line Part 2. So, until then, here endeth the lesson.